Welcome to the Grace Space, a transmission for the sovereign soul.
I think I have an eagerness and a desire to transform and to know myself. And this is such a big desire. And it comes from this curiosity. I think maybe it's from the same energy of the clown. I'm like, wow, I want to do that. That's cool. I don't know what's going to happen. And I love going towards my fear. And I mean, I have been scared of the dark. I mean, I think it is a fear that's quite natural and innate in humans. Like most children, I know. As a kid, I was terrified of the dark, and so we're afraid of. I think we're afraid of what we can't see. We're afraid of the unknown, and I think we're also afraid of that amount of space.
Hey everyone, real quick before we begin, if this content matters to you, you're warmly invited to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, to leave a comment, or all three. I read all the comments, and your engagement is really important because when you engage, it tells YouTube to push this content out to more people who would find value in it. Now that I understand this, I engage a lot more with the channels that are important to me because I know it really matters. Thanks for listening. Here we go. Today in the Grace Space, I have the joy of welcoming somebody that I've known and loved for much of her life. But I want to introduce her to you not through the lens of our shared history and through watching her grow up, but through the brilliance of who she is. Annie Newton, also known as Gurmukh Nam, is one of those rare souls who came in with a kind of built-in freedom. She is an adventurer of consciousness. She's a truth revealer through play. She's a creator, a real creator who understands the world by inhabiting it with her whole body. And she's a theater maker. She's a clown in the highest spiritual sense. A kundalini yogi, a teacher of presence, a woman who also recently spent 7 days in total darkness just to see what she might find on the other side of that. I've witnessed Annie's evolution from childhood into the extraordinary artist and sovereign being that she is now. And while our paths have crossed and intertwined at moments, hers is unmistakably her own, totally original, unpredictable, courageous, full of mischief and revelation. What I love most about Annie is that she brings coherence to chaos through innocence and playfulness. She brings depth to joy through embodiment. She invites us to meet life sideways, diagonally, playfully, in ways that soften us, soften the rigid ways that we can sometimes be stuck in. So today she's joining me for a conversation about creation, about the art of unmasking, and what she discovered living alone in complete darkness, and many other things that she's going to share with us today. It's an honor to share her with you. Let's jump in. Tell me, what is a clown funeral?
Well, one of my students passed away last week, and so I had been with her for I think more than 4 years. I had been teaching her regularly, and we created this group. It was so nice. It was all the way through COVID. It was a group of seniors from Canada, and we met every week. And yeah, I didn't realize how much of a source of joy it was for her. I mean, I knew, but I didn't realize too at what point. And one of my students was saying that like, that's how she introduced herself. Actually, was yes, I'm a clown, and it was a source of creativity and pride at the end of her life. So it was quite yeah, it was quite moving to read her obituary and to see that that was you know it's like the fact that she was a clown was frontline.
Wow.
And yeah, and to it was a really beautiful group that we created. So I got them all to come on Zoom, and we did a clown funeral.
Amazing. So how is a clown funeral different from a regular funeral? Probably in every way.
Probably. I don't know. I just was like, let's just put on the nose. So we all put on the nose, and I have a sort of ritual that I get my students to do to call on the energy of the clown, because I really think it's kind of like a spirit that we call. It's part of us, but it's something that we call upon. And so I brought them through this ritual. We put on the noses, and then I just got them to make an offering as a clown. And my offer, I also did it, and it's really simple stuff, I just did this,
Mhm.
but it was upside down, it was upside down, and then so I just got them all to do an offering in their clowns, and then we made a ritual, and then they danced, and it was full of joy.
Wow.
Yeah, and um, she was such a super, she was such a super clown, like yeah. Uh,
What makes a great clown?
I think being fully authentic, listening, taking pleasure, really fully enjoying, um, and exploiting your your faults as much as your talents.
I love that. And tell us about the nose. What does the nose do? Because it's just a little piece of plastic, right? People look at that thing and they're like, "Well, what is that's just a piece of plastic."
Yes, and I think this is what's so important is that it's just a piece of plastic. There's no, it's something that's super sacred. So there's a whole thing that I have the notes here. There's a whole set of rules that go around with this piece of plastic. One is that you put it on with your back towards the audience, because that was like when you turn around, then you make the separation between when you're in the clown energy and when you're just in a daily life with your own personality masks. Um, so you put it on with your back to the audience, and you also don't touch the nose, because as soon as you touch it when it's on your face, it breaks the illusion. It's really magic. There is a space that is created when the nose is put on, and if you touch the nose, it cracks the space, and so you don't touch it. Um, and it is the smallest mask in the world. It's a mask. I put on the mask so that we don't have to wear all of our other masks. Um, and I usually actually I start when I teach. I do the first part of the class usually without nose. And even when yeah, some teachers, they don't use nose at all. I quite like using the nose. Um, but I always introduce it quite late, because I think it's important to feel the clown energy before you put on the mask. We have a lot of connotations about what a clown is, and so often if you just put on the nose right away, the people start to play at the clown instead of finding their own clown.
Mhm.
And when I teach, I focus a lot on the body, and bringing in the clown energy into the body and moving and letting yourself be moved by the clown, developing your own walk, because this helps people come into their bodies and let their physicality speak for them more than their mind. It helps it helps to let go of the mind. Not because as soon as we start to think about trying to be funny, it's
It's over.
Ay, ay, ay. So we just basically, it's all of the exercises as much as you can to try and trick your mind. So you're not trying to be funny, but you're trying to do something else. And I had a clown teacher once tell me, okay, so if you come on and you don't know what to do, either just try to be beautiful or try to be really good. Don't try to be funny. Try to be beautiful or really good. And it's sure that you will not. It's sure you will fuck up. So as long as you're trying, then you're in good hands. But you need to be trying to do something. And so it's better to focus on trying to be beautiful or to be good at something. Come on and try to be really good at contemporary dance, but earnestly. Earnesty is one of the pillars. You need to actually try, not play at trying. Like, oh, I'm trying, but I'm also failing. Like, we can see it from miles away if you're not honest.
Uh-huh. I love this. So what is because it took me a while to get involved with clown with you, right? Not that I didn't want to, I just.
I forgot about it. Of course, you took one of my classes. That was
Oh,
super.
more than one. More than one. And I mean, when I was at Juilliard, we had a semester of clown, right? But there's obviously something really sacred and profound about clown, and I'm really interested in what. I mean, I think you've already touched on it a bit, but I'd like to go a little deeper into that. Like, why do we need to clown? What's happening there?
Oh my God, so many reasons. Um, okay, so I think one is that the clown it's a way to go into our shadows and the parts of ourselves that we hide normally, our faults. And when we go into the clown, we use our fault. They're gold. Your shyness, your anger, your stupidity, the parts of ourselves we our failure, they become gold. Normally in daily life, you have a problem in life and you try to fix it as quickly as possible without anybody knowing that there's a problem. That's what we do as humans. And no. Clowning, when you find a problem, you stay in the problem as long as possible. A good clown can stay in a problem for 20 minutes. One problem, 20 minutes. A bad clown has like 60 problems and gives up or solves them immediately. No, boring, boring. We want to see the struggle and the pleasure in the struggle. It's like how can you find the crux, the struggle of the problem, and you stay in it. There's quite a famous clown turned a guy who's stuck in a chair. It's like a good gag, and like that's a good test. How long can you stay stuck in a chair? It's not easy. It's not easy to not solve the problem. We just want to go away. It's our nature, in society. And so this is there's two things about this. One is that you are able to accept yourself as totally stupid in front of people. And it's a practice. How stupid can I be in front of everybody? And honestly stupid, not playing stupid, because that's just
Yeah.
um, so that's one thing. It's like, can I really sit in my own idiocy and revel in it? you know? Um, and the other thing is when we stay in a problem, instead of immediately finding solutions, there's really a lot of creativity that comes out of it because we find other ingenious ways to solve the problem. I have a classic exercise that I give students. There's an umbrella, a coat. You have a coat strung over your arm. You have an umbrella, and you have a suitcase. You can't put any of the objects on the ground, and you need to open the umbrella and put on the coat. without without putting anything or dropping anything. And you can't have two objects in your hand at the same time. So you can't just put the umbrella in the hand with the suitcase. So it's a great problem. And you can just sit even without moving. You can sit in just the problem of looking at the coat, the umbrella, and the suitcase and being totally lost. You can just think about how you're going to solve this impossible task. And already that is so it's soulagé,
Yeah, it's a relief.
relief, a relief for the audience to see a person owning that they're in total struggle and taking in the time to be in the impossibility of this of the moment, because we all find these impossibilities in our lives all the time.
And I want to go back to what you said about, being willing to look stupid, because that's the thing, right? Like, as you say, we're always trying to recover from impossibilities. We're always trying to recover from mistakes. We're always trying to look good, put on a brave face, not show our vulnerability, not show our stupidity, not show, and I saw a video recently. Somebody was sitting in a coffee shop and had the camera, their phone trained on the sidewalk where there was a place in the sidewalk where it was uneven, and like every single person who came by tripped over it, and and like every single trip you feel the person, like that moment where they're like, oh no, I'm about to look bad. I've lost control, and the person sitting with the camera is capturing every trip as people go by. And you, when you're watching it, or at least me, I'm laughing my ass off because I think we all want to see that. We crave that moment where we don't have control. And if you're afraid to let go of control yourself, it's either going to be super uncomfortable for you to watch that kind of thing, or you're going to love it because you need to blow off some steam yourself.
Yeah, it's exactly this. I think clowns, they're on the edge of this, because you're on the edge of really losing control. And how much you can let go and let like I was saying, let your body speak. How can I let go of the mind and follow my impulse? The whole first part of when I train clowns is just trying to connect to what even is an impulse. When am I
Mhm.
faking it and when am I not faking it? There's one exercise I do is I just get them to walk around the room and stop and then start walking again. And when is it you that decides when to start and stop? Or when is it your mind deciding to stop? And once you start to realize how much our mind decides for us, oh, everyone else is stopping now. This is probably when I'm supposed to start. But when is actually my impulse, my true, authentic impulse to stop? Um, and so the clown is on this edge of being out of control, and also to it's a kind of a paradox, because you also become a master at failure, which is an oxymoron. Like in clown school you learn how to trip. This is like, you need to, as a clown, you need to know how to trip. It's hilarious. Tripping is the funniest thing on the planet, next to like pooping. It's like, so you master these failures, and you use them to make people laugh. But I think what people crave, and just to go back to your story about, these people tripping and how much we love to watch people trip. I think it's also because we see a moment of humanity. It's like a private moment of humanity, that's real. And especially now, we crave realness like nobody's business.
So true.
I mean, especially with, I'm very fascinated by AI. And a clown friend of mine, Charlotte, we developed this term, uh, instead of what's the AI is stands for,
Artificial intelligence.
artificial intelligence. That's what it stands for. So we created another. Uh, Another definition for AI, which is authentic idiocy. Our way of combating against this, this fakeness, really. And I think the more that we, the more the that this artificial element um, comes into our lives, the more we crave spaces of realness, and that's what clowning is for me. I mean, I have such a host of stories of these moments of just real true humanity. It's just insanely beautiful, where you can see the also the grace that comes into a scene, because you're not in control. There's always, you plan perfectly. Okay, I have my, this is the way that my scene is gonna go, and I have this planned, and you rehearse it perfectly 5 million times, and you go here and you rehearse your beats, because precision is important in clowning, especially when you're a performer. You're not just improvising. There's different steps. You go through the just finding your own clown, but then there's also the step of performing, and that is really a lot of precision. And so you go through it, and you master all your tricks. And then when you get on stage, you have to let go completely. Like, you have to drop, you read your script behind scenes. Okay, I go to stage left, and then I spill water on myself, and then I spill water on the floor, and then I trip on the, I read it all. And then you drop your script, and you go out there, and you're open to whatever happens. And this is so beautiful, because the clown is so sensitive, and it cannot lie. And so if you hear something, you notice it. If someone comes in late, you notice them. It's you there's no fourth wall. Mm-hmm. Every night is different. It's the audience that also decides if something's not working. It doesn't work every night. If there's a joke that doesn't work, you have to accept that. You have to accept the flop and also that this works every night. Why isn't it working this night? This joke, I had it perfectly down. And so, to be in this confusion, trying it again, but it's supposed to work. Like, how can I oil this joke? It must be rusty. To be in the honesty of this. Because not every audience is gonna laugh the same way. You don't know who's gonna. Maybe you do the show for one person, and so you take in what's there in the moment, and that's part of the grace and the sort of divine alignment that comes into when you perform as a clown, of accepting the gifts, because you have to see it as a gift. When you mess up or when there's not a laugh, it's a gift. If there's a person that comes late, they're your best friend. That's material for you, maybe you have a gag. You're supposed to have smoke come out of your hand, and the machine doesn't work. Shit! My whole show is based on this. It's a gift. It's a gift. Now a whole world of possibility is open to me. How am I gonna get out of the shit?
Well, I mean, this is like such an amazing metaphor for life, right? I mean, if we could just treat everything that was unexpected and not what it was supposed to be as a gift, how different would things be for us, I mean, that's an obvious parallel. Do you think people change when they learn clown? Do you think they change in life too?
100%. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know I changed completely, because you accept your failures. You accept the parts of yourselves that normally you hate. Um, you get comfortable being in front of people, looking people in the eye. Um, you also flexible.
Mm.
Your sense of listening starts to increase. You take in your environment. I mean, I think that's probably the most marking, is that people start to see the world differently and their situations differently. Um, when part of the ritual that I do to get people into clown, I get them to bring in the spirit of the clown, and then I get them to put on the nose, and then I get them to open their eyes and look at the room as if they have never been in this room before. And sometimes I'm teaching on Zoom, so they're in their bedroom. It's the thing they see every day, or in their kitchen or whatever. Okay, but now you see it as if you'd never seen it before. And go explore it now, and just be amazed. Just be more amazed at every single detail that you notice. Or go outside. And sometimes I'll take them outside, and you in clown discover the world. And it's like putting on new eyes. When you look at the world over top of this little hill, that is this little red plastic hill, it really changes everything. And so you start to see the humor and the possibility also in life. Everything becomes a possibility. And I often use this. I think the thing that I like about the nose is that it's sort of like a trigger. I can put it on, and it's immediately I can connect again to this sense of wonder and innocence. And so I really like using the nose. Not all teachers use it, but I think it puts me in that space right away. And then you really find magical things to play with. Life becomes like a playground. And remember, I use it a lot. Like I put it one time. I got really tired. I was walking the Camino de Compostela, the Saint Jacques de Compostela, and my feet were sore as hell, and I was not wanting to walk anymore. And I just put on the nose, and hop, I had a ton of energy, and I kept on walking. And I saw things I might not have noticed, and also. Yeah, like I also was in the garden with the nose, and we were picking up beets. We were harvesting the beets, and I just I put on the nose, and then I put a beet between my legs, and I had this whole thing with a beet and it being my penis, and it was hilarious. And so you find ways to find absolute stupidity in your circumstances. And it makes life so great.
Well, it sounds too like it's what I would call a permission slip, the nose. Somehow it allows us to like transcend our habitual persona. And it's amazing to me how you can go from, because the 10 days of Camino walking that I did, I remember how much my feet hurt. And it's amazing that you can go from like real physical pain to no more pain because you put the nose on. There's something amazing that's happening there.
Yeah, I had no more pain in I had no more blisters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you're transcending something there.
yeah.
It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, and I think it also has to do with this idea of pleasure, is that's that's what's most important. And when you have pleasure, if we go back to the clown in a scenario of being on stage with the audience, when you have pleasure, the audience has pleasure.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
find your pleasure. And then one of my teachers was like, you come on and you get yourself off. I was like, one of the clown rules is you have to get yourself off. That's John Turner. He's Canadian.
Uh-huh.
Fantastic clown teacher. My first one. He was awesome. And I think that's really it. It's because when you have pleasure, the audience has pleasure, and how you can share that with the audience and transcend even the limits of that pleasure, because we don't allow ourselves really the full expanse of emotion. And I think that's also what the clown teaches us, is how to fully live life, like uber live it. If you're sad, like be sad. If you're angry, be angry, but take pleasure in it. Like how can you be so sad and love being sad? How can you have your heart is broken and you take it out of your chest and you squeeze all the blood out of it and you put it on the floor, and that there's how can you create such a drama and a pleasure of the ridiculousness of life. And there's this one exercise also that we do where, I get people to go through the emotions, and you start at a 1, and then you go to 10, and then you go to 11, and then you go to 12, and then you go to 14. So you think it's just 1 to 10, and then you go past. And at a certain point, it comes, around 5 or 6, people are actually sad. And then you start to augment it, and people, they start to have, they first of all, they don't even know, like, what is an 8 in sadness? Like, what does that even mean? What is a 10? Okay, what, a 13 in sadness? But how can that even exist? Mind explodes. So, and then it becomes hilarious, because in that exaggeration, it's great. And yeah, you find the pleasure in, the emotion. And also how to one of the things as well is, often when we have sadness or anger or big emotions, or even pleasure, or happiness, it's like we close off. We're sad, we cover our face, we hunch our shoulders, we make ourselves small. But how can you be absolutely sad and completely and open even more and more and more and more, and be totally sad and be with the audience and keep your eyes open? That's like the one thing I say, I think, all the time in my clown classes. Eyes open. Look at us. Look at us. Hey, over here. Look at me. Because
Well,
every,
that's so amazing, though. That moment of, I'm just imagining, I'm feeling it in my own body as you're describing it, right? Like, if I were to share that sadness and keep opening up to it, opening up to it, opening up to it, expanding the sadness and not hiding it, right? Because, like, as you say, that's our tendency, right? Just we keep it away from people, but like, I mean, that would go for any emotion, right? But like, so at one point, you're going to pop the bubble of sadness. It's like it transforms into something else. It becomes like ecstasy or bliss or a total surrender, and you would just disappear. I mean, that's profound.
yeah.
And then, almost like something becomes its opposite.
Yeah, they all exist. The umbrella of pleasure allows all of them to exist in their opposites at the same time. And if you are genuinely sad, I mean, this happened to me uh in the summertime. I was in crisis. So depressed. And I pulled an angel card for a guidance. And it was like the Buddha, the smiling Buddha or something, what is it, like, yeah, like joy.
Laughing.
Joy. I think the card was joy, and I was like, fuck you. But then I put on the nose and I did the whole scenario. And then it's hilarious, because you can be sad with the nose, and you realize how pathetic you are, but in a beautiful way. But really, to play this pathos and this, my heart's broken, and yeah, I just got dumped, or I have no
So it's
purpose.
like you can see the character that you play in life when you put the nose on, in a way. It's like it exposes the part of you that you believe is you, that you're identified with, but actually isn't you. And that layer kind of comes away.
Yeah, it separates it. You play it, and then because you are consciously playing it, you can separate from it.
Hmm.
If I am sad, I can't separate it from. But if I play the sadness, it's awesome. I mean, all the actors, you want the dramatic roles. It's awesome when you're like, you want the roles that allow you to cry. It's awesome. It's cathartic. And it's the same. It's like when we can go into that and play the sadness, or play the the victim. We can play the victim, then we are no longer victim of our lives, because we
Hmm.
can't see ourselves. It allows for us to see ourselves clearly.
Yeah. So I have a question. Do we have more than one clown in us, or is there like a predominant energy that is your clown, or does it depend on the person?
Yeah. It's a good question. So I think different clown teachers would have their own opinions on this. I mean, each individual is unique, and so you're going to have your unique clown that comes along with just who you are. Um, and it's quite a magic moment, especially when I'm working with beginners, and they put on the nose for the first time, and the clown is born, and you're like, oh my God. And it's like a part of them that's totally hidden comes out, and it's honestly like people don't it's quite intimate. um and it's a privilege really to be able to be witness to that moment. It totally beautiful, innocent, and something super super true, a part of yeah, an innocent part of this person. um So to answer your question, I think yes, we have our own individual clown. But and some yeah, and we have our own tendencies, like some of my students, they come out and just automatically it's more natural to play a more high status clown than a low status clown. There are our tendencies that we is great. And it's sometimes really beautiful to switch these tendencies. So to when you are used to being a high status clown, then you come out as a low status clown and you see what happens. So it's a way to also explore different facets of your personality and your sphere of creativity. Um, you can play different characters in the spirit. Like I think of the clown energy as an energy that comes and inhabits us, and we allow it to inhabit us. That's how I call on when I get people to go into clown. I call on a red buzzing energy that comes from the earth, and it comes to inhabit the feet, and then it starts to inhabit the whole body. And I take them through this. It's like a buzzing red energy. What did I say in French? It's rouge pétillant, rouge pétillant.
Yeah, sparkling red.
um, yeah, and so there is there's a calling on this energy, but of course you have different clowns in different circumstances. I have one clown that's a construction worker. I have one clown that's an opera singer. But there's an essence of me that stays in that. Um, uh, yeah, and I have one clown, of course, that's a guru. Keeps me humble. Uh, yeah, and so when I first started clowning, one of the ways that I was taught, and it's a method that was created by Richard Pachenko. And my teacher studied with Richard Pachenko. His name is John Turner, and he led me through a 2-week introduction to clown, which was called Baby Clown, and it was on Manitoulin Island. It was probably still the best 2 weeks of my entire life. I was in love. I was love. For 2 weeks, I was love. And it was very profound, and we used the directions and masks. So we made 6 masks: north, south, east, west, above, below, below. So we had at the end 6 masks. We painted them, paper mache, all of that. And then from the mask, we created a clown persona. There was a huge, it was such an amazing playground. There was like 7 bags of clothing, and we could dress our clowns. And then we had to perform a little skit, for 2 minutes based on that mask. So it was an incarnation of that mask that we then translated to the clown. And then at the end, we went through a birthing. Yeah, a birth. He created the vagina and everything, went through the birthing canal. I mean, we take things seriously in clown. If you want to have a birth, you have to go for it. It's like this uber realism where it's like, if you're going to do a rebirth, do a rebirth. And then, so yeah, and there was more to that process, but to explain it like that, then you were led through this birthing process where all of these six directions started to mix and meld and fuse, and you become in the middle, you find your clown. So this is how I understood and took away from it, is you have this sphere of creativity, all of these different facets of yourself, and in the middle you have your clown. And you can, you can access sometimes your mask 3. You need it to create a certain piece. So you call on that energy, and you can go back even to your mask. I mean, I still have all my masks and stuff like this, but it was a very organic way of also broadening your creative sphere, and not just thinking, oh, I have some of my students there, like, well, maybe my clown is sad. No, your clown's not just sad. Your clown is everything, can be everything. And it's important not to limit yourself, I think, in clown, or limit like, oh, my clown is like this,
Mm.
or like that. I think one thing uh, that can be very opening and help to define or go deeper into your clown is asking your clown what it loves. Putting on the nose and being, okay, what do I love?
Mm.
Different than what you love. It's maybe you're a clown. I had one student, she was in love with plants when she was in clown. Like, in love with plants. She took all the plants. She collected all of the plants in her house, and then she was super happy, and she took so much pleasure in all of her plants and watering her plants. Never would even think, like, not to this level in real life would she have taken care of her plants. But this is where can I find a sparkle inside, and then augment and exaggerate the sparkle, and see what lies in that small impulse of joy.
Yeah.
If I really
Yeah.
follow it to the nth degree, if I really fully embody that joy, where does it take me?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about my clown. Now, granted, I have limited experience with clowning, but every time that I've engaged in clown, the same energy comes up. And when you were saying, what would your clown love? Like, what does it want to do and explore to the nth degree? I had this image of my belly button because my clown always wants to show her belly button. And it thinks that her belly button is the most amazing show off thing. And I just imagined like, drawing a face around my belly button and making its mouth move and like doing all kinds of stuff. And I've already started laughing in my own imagination. And I'm thinking, what is that? Why does that bring me joy? Like, why do I enjoy that? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Don't even need to ask. It's just awesome. And also, like, when you find that's the other thing, is like, and don't stop there. So when you
Mhm.
find, like, okay, my clown loves my belly button, or my clown loves plants. Okay, now forget it. Now what do I love? And the
Mhm.
next day can be totally different. The past does not exist, neither does the future. So what now, in this moment, do I love? Because again, we have so many ways of keeping ourselves in boxes. And so what I'm constantly questioning in my teaching is like, how can I constantly find ways to navigate and avoid the box? How can I always be finding the door? Oh, there's a new space. Oh, there's a new space. Um, and and it's very interesting because we find safety in the boxes. It's safe to say, my clown's always sad, because then when I come out and I'm in front of the audience, I'm not in the unknown.
Right.
If I came out and really had no idea what I was doing, I have to stand there in the unknown, in front of everybody with my eyes open, and I'm not allowed to hide. Like, I can't hide. I'm there. I'm naked in the unknown. And this, our ego, it's the last thing that our ego wants to do, is to be stupid, unknown, and naked in front of people.
Well, you just exposed it right there. I mean, that's what everybody would rather die
Yes.
than, like avoid that at all cost.
I think clowning is a fantastic preparation for death.
Ah,
And it's really a tool for transformation, I think.
yeah, yeah. And when you're talking about death, you're not talking about necessarily physical death. You're talking about the death of your attachment to your identity that's so perfectly crafted and
I mean, either it can be your ego death or the real life death. I mean, there's no difference. But can you imagine, like, let's say you are close to dying, and you can put on the nose and be so curious about that passage. You can put on the nose and allow the wonder to come in to this transition. You can close your eyes and and be in the darkness, the unknown, and and see it as a playground.
so can we, it sounds like a pretty good segue. I would love for you to talk about your recent experience of spending 7 days in total, 7 days and nights in total darkness.
Yes. Well, I recommend it to all.
So what was the impulse? Why would you do something like that? I think many people would ask that question, like, well, why would you want to do that?
Like, good question, because I was like, as soon as they announced it, I was like, oh God, I need to do it. I didn't even think. There was no thinking. It was just like, please, I need to do it. There's no question. Um, but I think I have an eagerness and a desire to transform and to know myself. And this is such a big desire, and it comes from this curiosity. I think it's maybe it's from the same energy of the clown. Of I'm like, wow, I want to do that. That's cool. I don't know what's gonna happen. And I love going towards my fear. And I mean, I have been scared of the dark. I mean, I think it is a fear that's quite natural and innate in humans. Like children, most children I know. I as a kid, I was terrified of the dark, and so we're afraid of. I think we're afraid of what we can't see. We're afraid of the unknown, and I think we're also afraid of that amount of space.
Hmm.
Space, the infinity of the space is so overwhelming, um, that it's something our mind can't comprehend. Um, and so I think there's all of these fears that go into that, and yeah, and just going back to the clowning, I think that's also you can go towards your pleasure and you can also go towards your fear. That's
Hmm.
also very interesting. Um, I had a there was one very marking moment in one of my clown trainings where my teacher said, "Walk towards your fear," and everyone was like, "What?" We were all walking around the room. No one really got it. It was like, "What? Walk towards my fear? Okay." Uh, I'm gonna walk towards my fear like a good student. And everyone stayed on the edges of the room. They're walking very like good students on the edges of the room. And there was one student, one woman, she walked right in front of my teacher in the middle center of the room and stood there and center, stage front and center, looking at the teacher directly in the eyes, open chest. And he was like,
Hmm.
boom, the only one of you that's honest is this one. But I think it gives you a lot of energy, and you probably can relate to this, walking on stage and being in front of people and being in the middle of the stage. So you're like, whew, to receive all of that energy also from the public is huge. And we're not used to, our nervous systems aren't even used to holding that much energy, but it's exciting.
Mm.
So I think that was the impulse to go in is came comes from this curiosity and a desire to know the mystery of the universe and to feel more and to know myself more. And
So when you think back to the experience now, what are some of the key moments that emerge?
I almost don't want to say because I want people to experience. I want people to experience it themselves, and also because everyone's experience will be different. Um,
What do you think you can safely share without?
um, well, I think there's two things I can say. One is that your shadows come up, so that's just the subconscious. There's no distraction, so the subconscious, what's there, what you usually hide, is similar to clown actually. What you hide and it comes up. There's nowhere to hide. There's just empty space. It's just you, an empty space. And even at one point, I was like looking at my hand. I mean, you can't look at your hand because you can't see your hand, but I had my hand in front of my face and I couldn't see my hand, and I was like, what if I don't exist actually? I don't exist. Nothing exists. Everything is a projection, but I really understood it. And it's true. It's like you confront your own non-existence. And also, yeah, there's your shadows. What you really push to the side and don't want to look at, it comes up. Um, but if you're curious about your shadows, it's very interesting and even pleasurable. At one point, I had this heat come up through my chest. I was reciting a mantra and I had this strange feeling come up through my chest and into my throat. And then I started to wail. And I didn't even really know why, but I just kept on wailing, and it was like all of what I was attached to in this physical world. It felt like being stripped, but it was at the same time painful and sad, extremely pleasurable, and a huge relief. And the two existed at the same time. Uh, yeah, and then in that moment, I felt like I could fully accept the vastitude of the space and disintegrate into the
Mm. Hmm. So it is a kind of, yeah, you have to, it's a confrontation of non-existence or total aloneness or, um, well, the thing again that people most want to avoid, and it's so easy to do because we're fed with constant distraction, is whatever's like really coming up for you that you don't have to pay attention to in your daily life because you've got your phone is right there.
Yeah, that's the best part, guys. Just 7 days without a phone. My God. Days without phone, email. I got to sleep. It was awesome. It's actually, if you want an actual vacation, go into the dark for 7 days. I mean, it's work, but it's so sweet. And the more when I went in, I really got the message of just if you get scared, just give yourself love. There's just only love. And I think can really take you through anything that you go through. It's just you do it from a place of love and not from a place of um, struggle or punishment. Because actually it's quite interesting. It's used as a method of torture.
Yes.
And so in one And, you know, if you are there against your will and it's being done to you and you're the victim of your circumstance, it's horrible. And people go mad in solitary confinement. It's used as a method of torture and punishment. And on the other hand, this was a choice. Um, and and it was so beautiful and so peaceful and so full of love and care. But it's the intention that you put on it, and how you go through. It's the same experience.
Yeah.
And even if you are in jail and it's a punishment, if you put the intention of I love myself and I'm going to go through this with love, nobody can punish you. You cannot be a victim, and you can still access that sweetness. You can still access that infinite divine love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's been the lesson and the revelation to certain people who have been imprisoned, whether it was justly or unjustly. Um, yeah, was encountering that freedom that we all have. We may just, intellectually believe it and not have experienced it, but yeah, the access to freedom is there for everyone, no matter what the situation is. We talked a little bit about this, you and I, the last time we were talking about, fasting. So if you're not eating, some people are have a belief that, if they don't eat, then they'll die, so there's a lot of fear that comes up with not eating. You can also approach fasting from any perspective, and its intention makes a huge difference in your experience when you go through a fast, because it's going to bring up lots of emotions, lots of unresolved stuff, and lots of attachment. So yeah, that's amazing. So what did the darkness reveal about um, who you are when there's nothing left to perform?
When there's nothing left to perform,
There's nobody there. There's no, not even the light of day.
I just love my own company,
Mm.
and I love who I am. Just you get to spend a week with your best friend. I want to go back in.
I mean, I'm not sure a lot of people can say that. I mean, I think that's pretty rare.
Mm, yeah.
So, what truth about being human do you think you were born knowing?
Hmm. Um, I think I have always had a sense of being free and being capable of, yeah, being infinitely capable. That there is nothing that is impossible. Uh, and that I, I think I've always not believed in limits that other people have imposed on me. I think that's what I would say. And it's not to say, I mean, I encounter my perceived limits all the time, but there is an innate knowing deep inside that I am totally capable and that nothing is impossible. And that
That-
we are much more capable of, we are much more capable than we give ourselves credit for.
So if you, I'm fascinated right now with this idea of job descriptions because I've stopped being able to describe in any way what I do.
Gosh.
I'm like, if people ask me, I'm like, I don't know. There are titles, there are descriptions in the world. But then I realized there's actually a deeper job description, if you want to call it that. Like, what are you here to be? What are you here to bring? Like, what are you? What is it that you're here to um what's the essence that wants to express through you in this lifetime? And I think we each have that.
I think at the moment it's really connecting with joy. I think it's so important, and responding to the call and the need for finding joy and humor in life. And that's
Yeah.
what I do through the clowning. And also through that as well, the freedom of expression of all facets of our being. And I teach voice as well, and puppetry, and through it all, it's how can I liberate myself more? It's
Mm.
really this idea of full liberation to, and once you've liberated yourself, go further. Where more can I liberate myself? Yeah, how can I fully embody being an idiot? I mean, if you can be an idiot in a world that champions intelligence and the mental capacities, and you can really lead your life from the heart. I mean, that is, it's radical.
Yeah.
That I think humor and joy in itself is a sort of weapon in this world. If you
Well,
can,
yeah.
if you can see the world and see yourself as being, and know your freedom, and feel your joy when the world tries to make you limited and a victim of your circumstances. It's a way to, you can't catch a clown. It's like a bar of soap.
Yeah.
The more you squeeze, the more it goes away.
Exactly.
And I really love this idea of like, how can I be a bar of soap? The more
Uh,
society tries to squeeze me, the more I jump into the air, in the bathtub, Uh, and so, uh, yeah, I think it's quite radical, and it's a need that people have. Like, I I feel like I also kind of respond a bit to just I just respond. I just say yes, when that's how the clowning started. I just it was all innocent. It was really innocent. I had 2 weeks. It, I went to a training program, changed my life. And then with the teaching, I asked my teacher if I could practice teaching clown. And it started this journey with a group of students, and I took them through sort of a 4-year program that ended up developing with this group of students on Zoom through COVID. Then I met them in Canada in person, and I did this clown intensive with them. I think your students really are your teachers in a way, and they're the ones that guide you. And so, yeah, I really thank my students because they're the ones that asked and pushed me to grow, actually, because I remember when I gave a 5-day clown intensive, like I was like, I have no idea how to do this. And I sort of was like, yeah. I only have a week because I'm in Canada for only a short amount of time. So let's pack it into a week. And then I was there the first day being like, what have I done? You know, because it forced me to go beyond my limits. And then it's awesome. That's when you really have to also rely on grace and on the divine. And I pray before every class. I really do. Like every class I do, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And teaching is like going in front of people and doing clown. You know, I have so like I don't want to do it. I don't want to actually. To be honest, I dread. I really sometimes I'm filled with dread. But I love it more than anything in the world. Like really, the moments of the most profound moments I think I've had in my life are seeing my students on stage. Like it's way better than being on stage myself. Pff, watching my students on stage, amazing, super profound. Or being, yeah, just being in class and making up an exercise on the like that's where I feel really connected to the divine. And but it's really stressful.
Well, I love what you're saying, and this occurred to me earlier too when you were talking about, exploring freedom and being the soap, right?
Yeah.
Because and this is like permission slips too, right? Because this idea of trying to avoid looking stupid, avoid being wrong, avoid feeling awkward, avoid emptiness, avoid all the stuff that we try to avoid. We're like trying to avoid one side of the wave. You can't. You have to have both, right? And I've seen you and you've seen me in states that were, I mean, I've seen you with all your hair down in front of your face. Like the dumpiest of the dumps, down low, right? But you're also able to go way up high because you let yourself explore the depths. That's how it works. If you don't let yourself go down into the trough, then you can't go up into the peak. It's just everything gets, flattened out. And what we're really, giving ourselves permission for in this context is full embodiment of everything that we're experiencing. And what I love about the clown is that it allows you to amplify that experience to absurdity, so that you can not be attached to it anymore, or not be identified with it anymore, and that's how you find the freedom. And that goes for both sides of the wave.
Yeah, I think it's really a tool. It's like when you go diving, you have this oxygen tank with you. And I think that's what the clown is. This is the oxygen tank, this plastic thing. And it really allows us to go into these dark, scary places with a lot of love um, and humor and to keep kind of hold both sides of the coin at the same time. Is that when you're in the darkest of the dark, you also hold the light. And when you're in the light, you also hold the dark. And it's like the yin yang, there's always there's the spot of the dark in the white. It's like this, I think. Uh, and this sort of keeps balance a little bit and allows you to go deeper than you think is possible. Um, but yeah, and it's in a similar way, I said go towards your pleasure or go towards your fear. It's the same thing. It's the same. There's an energy in the fear, and there's an energy in pleasure, and just whichever one you choose, go towards it fully. Um, yeah, there's two scenarios that I use often, and this is again from my first clown teacher. One of the scenarios is you go fully embody the feeling of waiting for your lover in a park. You're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for your lover, and then finally You see them across the park, and they come closer and closer and closer, and finally you embrace. And so it's to explore this range of impulse and excitement and joy and pleasure in that. And then the other exercise is you're on the top of a mountain. It's beautiful. It's a spring day, and you hear something off in the distance, and you realize it's a plane. You look around for the plane, and you start to get a little bit worried. What is this? Where is it coming? It starts to get more and more loud, and you see the plane in the distance, and it's coming right towards you. And it starts to get closer and closer, and you realize it's on fire. And it's coming right towards you. And so you fully embody and embrace, again, with your eyes open, with your breathing in all of this energy, all of this fear, and you open more and more and more until fully embodying and expressing this impulse. And then the airplane comes, and it just misses your head, and it goes away. But it's these two extremes, this pleasure and fear, and they're the same. You can explore them to their depths and share that with the audience. And I think with this connection to the audience, this is where really the essence of clowning is in the connection to the audience. There is no fourth wall. Your eyes are open, and you look at people. You connect with them in that moment, whatever you feel by resonance they feel. When a clown comes on stage and they're holding in their breath, everybody holds their breath. If they're tense in their body, you can feel it. It's this mirroring, automatic, that happens. The clown comes out and breathes and really opens a door, like opens the veil of their eyes and looks at you. It's extremely, it's like being honored. And it's a gift you give to the audience. The more you are able to be open, the more you allow the audience to be seen and heard. Yeah. And that's when the audience really loves, because it's the audience that's in charge. When the audience laughs, you do it again. You follow what the audience loves. And so then they feel heard and listened to, and we never get listened to, and we never feel heard. And so, it's really a gift you give to the audience, and it's something that's not normal in life, this kind of connection, where there's nothing. You just come on, and maybe there's nothing even that you're doing, but you're looking at the audience. Or maybe you are having so much pleasure in a game that you're playing, and you look at the audience and you invite them into your own pleasure. You're in a struggle. You invite them into the pleasure of your struggle, and you give them this empowerment. And I had one student, I tell this story often, but I think it's one of the most beautiful moments I had in teaching. I had this student, she's 86 years old, and tiny, awesome clown. Tiny, she's like half my size. And she did this exercise that is called making contact or being present. And you just come out, sometimes with nose, sometimes I don't use the nose. You come out and you make contact with each person in the audience. So you come out, you stand in the middle of the stage, you relax, you breathe, and you look into the eyes of the audience, each person, each individual. And you make contact with them. You're just present with them, each individually. And she did this exercise, and she said afterwards, I have never looked at people in the eyes in my whole life like that. And she's 86 years old, and she was profoundly touched by this experience. So simple, just being present with nothing, no words, not having to fill the space with words, not having to do anything, but just giving your presence to them. And I think this is really the essence of clown, is it's in this connection to share a moment with somebody, and to really, you're giving them yourself.
Is there anything else that you feel like you really want to share today? Like, what is vitally important? I mean, everything you've talked about is vitally important, but is there anything else that
I just think that, yeah, I just think that clowning is really important because it allows us to share more joy together and share who we are and be more honest. And yeah, and the more, it's really a practice, and often it's not just reserved for people who are actors or whatever. It's like, it's a tool. You can use it there's clowns that goes into hospitals just to be present with people, kids, or into old age homes, or uh, to yeah, and also for protests. It's a different way to play, to really play with these hard, difficult things, to talk about things that make people angry, things that are making conflict. It's like the clown is like this uber neutral that can make the connection between I think it really has the power to make connection between opposite groups of people. It's a political figure. It can play with difficult subjects, and also I think there's a real importance in clown, especially in the spiritual domain, because we can get so serious with our trauma and with our enlightenment. And yeah, the clowning, the clowning, I think, really can in a very loving way kind of remind us of the idiocy of all of it, and the lightness as well, and the point of why we do this, which is joy, because we forget sometimes in our, we start to get power hungry, or we start to think about the money of how much am I making off of my spiritualness, or oh, I'm a good person, I'm giving to charity. And the ego has a lot of ways. It's a trickster as well, and so to combat this ego and the spiritual ego, I think clowning is a tool. uh, just keep laughing at yourself, and just put on the nose every time you're getting a bit too serious. Every time you're sad, just put on the nose and go look in the mirror. um and yeah, I think it's a way we can be much more creative and open in our circumstances. I think clowns should be enrolled in the army.
there should be clowns everywhere?
It
There
really,
should be clowns in every domain.
yeah, like
Gosh, wouldn't that
conscious
be
clowns.
illuminating?
Yeah, conscious clowns.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I like it. That's the new revolution, the red nose revolution.
Red Nose Revolution.
Oh, well, thanks for spending this time with me today.
My pleasure. It really
Proud
was
to
a
know you.
pleasure. I could talk for ages about this.
Well, it's a totally revolutionary and relevant topic. And um, yeah, I mean, I feel like we could talk about it for hours too. There's so much to say. And there's nothing to say because you have to just do it and experience it for
Yeah,
yourself. And it tells
this
you
is
everything.
yeah. To not intellectualize it as well is quite important. Like I was saying just at the beginning of the interview, is I start to talk about clown when I start teaching, and I get everyone in a circle, and I take their intentions of why they're here, what they want to learn, and I talk about the clowning, what is clown, and the definition of clown, and styles of clown. I start to bore myself with the intellect philosophy. Like I'm trying to the clown is the essence of not being philosophical, and so it's really in the practice that we start to uncover and gain actual knowledge, embodied knowledge, because the body is going to teach you about your clown. The audience, being in front of the audience, is going to teach you about your clown. Putting on a piece of plastic is going to teach you about this essence, and you don't know. Like the clown unveils also where you are blind about yourself, and and that's why we also need the audience. That sometimes we don't we sometimes come on stage and we have a fantastic idea of how we're gonna make people laugh, and then it doesn't work, and then they laugh at something and we don't understand why they're laughing at that. And it might be just in the way that we're walking, or in something that we try to hide. And often we go towards, like, oh, this is going to be a great funny idea, and out of that comes something completely unexpected, and it surprises us. And I think this element of being surprised is huge, of being surprised by life, of being surprised by the moment, and of being surprised by the parts of yourself that you didn't see before, that you were totally blind to. It's like, oh my God, I'm completely, have been in my ego. I've been, maybe even spending 20 years of my life in a trying to get towards a goal, or a position in my job, and you see it, you have a little bit of distance from the clown, and you're like, oh my God, the whole time I was just trying to get love. And you
Yes.
see yourself, and you're like, oh my God, I spent 20 years trying to get love, trying to get love by trying to be the CEO of a company,
Mhm.
or trying to have a good boyfriend and get married, or all of these things that we define as success. Like, oh, I know how to do the relationship, or I know how to be successful in my job, or with my kids. I'm a good mother. I'm a good mother. Um, all of this goodness stuff that we
Mm,
have, and when you realize that and I think that's also, when a clown steps out into onto the stage, what they're looking for is love. You want the love of the audience. And when you don't get the love, you feel like shit. And just the more you practice that, the more you realize that's what you do in life. It's like, oh my
mm.
God, I'm trying to get love from this person, or I'm trying to get love from my mother or my father. It's the same. Is we get and literally the clown comes on there trying to please people.
Right. And then the clown in the discovery process, the clown discovers that they are the love and the source of love and pleasure.
Yes, the more that you have pleasure, the more you have love, the more it's the mirroring effect again.
Yeah.
The audience will feel it. Um, yeah, and to accept when you're not loved, and
Yeah.
to really be like, oh, they don't love me.
Don't love me.
Be
And that's
honest
okay.
with this.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good practice. Like, shit, I am completely not loved. I'm on stage. I tried to make people laugh. I'm a total fool. I look like a fool, and I can't even make people laugh. I'm gonna leave now. I'm sorry. I honestly am sorry. I think apology is quite important in class. You apologize to the audience for the shit show that was not funny. And then usually as soon as you accept this flop and you apologize, the audience will laugh.
Yeah.
And then you're all happy again because they love me. We love
Oh,
authenticity.
these are the real lessons for life. Hmm.
Yes.
Well, Annie Lockerbie Newton, Gurmukh Nam, it's been a privilege. Super
Yes.
proud to know you.
Oh, me too.
Lots of love until we meet again.
Very, very much a pleasure. And I can just say one thing is that I thank you for your initiation as well as you initiated me into the spiritual world. So pleasure to, it's really a pleasure to speak with you today.
Thanks, Annie. What I love about conversations with Annie is that they are not resolving in a neat line. You know, they just keep opening, and she lives in a kind of creative edge space where truth arrives slantwise, surprisingly, through embodiment, through play. And just what's so amazing to me is how she's always daring herself, you know, towards a deeper intimacy with life and with herself. And I hope you felt that today. And I hope it inspired you. Annie is reminding us that awakening is not always solemn or structured. Sometimes it looks like curiosity, risk, taking the time to be silly, to laugh at yourself, to be still, to step willingly into the unknown, into the dark, just to see what it might teach us. Her path is really original, utterly her own. And yet, witnessing her, we're invited to reconnect with these parts of ourselves that are wild, that are mischievous, that are intuitive and vulnerable and deeply alive. So, if today's conversation stirred something in you, a desire to explore your own edges, to take a risk, to soften the mask, or to return to what's real in your own way, follow that thread. Annie's information is in the show notes, and she's living proof of what becomes possible when we trust our inner signal more than the expectations of the world. That's really going out of style now, people. Thanks, Annie, for bringing your beautiful boundary dissolving practices and presence into this space. And thank you, listeners, for meeting us here. Until next time, stay curious, stay sovereign, stay playful, and as always, walk in grace. You've been listening to The Grace Space. To amplify this field, you're welcome to like, subscribe, or share. Thank you.